are part of the community and they can spread COVID.
We're seeing both healthy children getting sick from the virus as well as children with underlying health conditions.
They can easily bring the virus home to other people that are vulnerable and make them sick as well.
This vaccine can change that and keep children safe.
It's essential that your children get vaccinated to protect them, to protect your families, and to protect those in the community around you.
Hey Laker fans, do you know a friend or neighbor that volunteers in Greater West Bloomfield? We would love to help you recognize them at the 51st Annual Michigan Week Awards. Countless members of the communities of Orchard Lake, Kego Harbor, Sylvan Lake, and West Bloomfield give their time and talent daily without regard for recognition. You can help recognize these individuals and organizations at our awards breakfast next year on May 12th, 2023. Nominate your neighbor or organization starting January 28, 2023. Go to michiganweek.org for details.
I'm feeling good.
Let's savor these moments. Made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the dining out going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
My Michigan TV is streaming everywhere on Apple TV, Roku, Fire TV, and more smart TV apps. My Michigan TV is on your phone too. Take us with you wherever you go. Just search for My Michigan TV on your favorite app store or visit mymitv.com. All Michigan, streaming everywhere. My Michigan TV.
Can I ask you a question? Why do you want to get the COVID-19 vaccine?
I don't like getting sick. The virus will die. It will be easy to not catch it. Keep my family safe and keep playing soccer. Because I love being vaccinated.
What's your hope for everyone?
I hope everybody gets the vaccine to keep safe and strong. Be like happy, having fun everywhere. Everyone stay safe and hope you get the vaccine.
Wondering what to say to someone who's been sexually assaulted or abused?
I believe you. I'm so sorry this happened.
It's not your fault.
Available at the Sexual Hotline. Connect with us 24/7. Call 855-VOICES-4 or text 1-866-238-1454 for help. Learn more at michigan.gov/voices4.
What's happening around you? Hear about state events, businesses, and from the people behind them on the Megacast, an hour-long TV, radio, and streaming show keeping you informed on the day-to-day news. Listen in on talks with volunteer groups, documentarians, and financial advisors, Monday to Friday with your host, Tyler Kieft. Catch the Megacast weekdays from 10 a.m. to 11 on Civic Center TV, 89.3 Lakes FM, and streaming on mymytv.com. Watch Civic Center TV with our brand new live captions. To turn on live captions, go to civiccentertv.com and click Watch Live. In your web browser, click on the Options tab in the top right and find the Accessibilities tab. Then just switch on live captions to heighten your enjoyment of our local programming. Thank you so much for watching Civic Center TV.
Let's relish these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the festivals going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
Wake up, Greater West Bloomfield. Start your mornings with The Splash and tune in for The Splash Live. Get acquainted with people, places, and activities that are live, local, and for you. First thing in the morning, weekdays at 9:30 a.m. on our Civic Center TV YouTube page, or watch us live at Civic Center TV or on Facebook. The Splash Live, Greater West Bloomfield's live update show.
Now that the vaccine is available for children 5 and up, why do you recommend it?
kids are part of the community and they can spread COVID.
We're seeing both healthy children getting sick from the virus as well as children with underlying health conditions.
They can easily bring the virus home to other people that are vulnerable and make them sick as well.
This vaccine can change that and keep children safe.
It's essential that your children get vaccinated to protect them, to protect your families, and to protect those in the community around you.
Hey Laker fans, do you know a friend or neighbor that volunteers in Greater West Bloomfield? We would love to help you recognize them at the 51st Annual Michigan Week Awards. Countless members of the communities of Orchard Lake, Keego Harbor, Sylvan Lake, and West Bloomfield give their time and talent daily without regard for recognition. You can help recognize these individuals and organizations at our awards breakfast next year on May 12th, 2023. Nominate your neighbor or organization starting January 28, 2023. Go to michiganweek.org for details.
I'm feeling good.
Let's savor these moments. Made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the dining out going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
You're listening to your radio homes for the Megacast, 89.3 WBLD Orchard Lake and 88.1 WBFH Bloomfield Hills. Today's edition of the Megacast begins now. Welcome to the Megacast, our live daily TV, radio, and streaming show looking into all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Keefe. Today, we'll be talking to a number of people about topics of interest and importance to Michiganders like you. Let's begin with what's making headlines today on CivicCenterTV.com's local news page. Our first article comes from Mike Wilkinson at Bridge, Michigan. For the first time in many years, hospitals across the state are seeing an influx of flu patients just as COVID-19 cases continue to file into emergency rooms and inpatient beds. Hospitalizations reached over 1,300 cases this week, the highest total recorded since February, and it marks the third consecutive week of an increase in case numbers across the state on the flu front. Despite the rising in cases, Michigan continues to have one of the lowest rates of flu in the United States in total. The CDC says that this flu season up to this point has been one of the worst, if not the worst, since 2010-2011, first affecting states in the South and gradually moving further north. Quote, "We have not had any concerns expressed to us specifically related to COVID-19 in patients, but our membership in general remains concerned about the overall impact of respiratory illnesses," said John Karasinski, spokesperson for the Michigan Health and Hospital Association. Also making headlines today on CivicCenterTV.com's local news page from Meredith Bruckner at WDIV TV Detroit. Due to staffing issues, 4 schools are closed today in Ann Arbor. The Ann Arbor Public School District says the staffing issues stem from, quote, "a very high number of staff illnesses," and closed quote. The affected schools are Ann Arbor Open, Burns Park Elementary, Mitchell Elementary, and Tappan Middle School, all closed today. In addition to these closures, Superintendent Janice Swift said there will be no virtual instruction either because of the staff illnesses. On Thursday, just Burns Park Elementary School was closed in the school district in Ann Arbor as a result of staff illnesses, and the administration of the district sent a health advisory out to the entire school district about staff illnesses throughout the district, urging precautions to be taken in order to prevent the spread of these respiratory illnesses and other sicknesses throughout the school district that obviously have already had quite the effect on Ann Arbor schools. There has not been an indication as of yet, as of this morning, whether or not schools will be back in person or in virtual session for instruction next week as they meet Monday through Thursday before going on their holiday break on Friday of next week. Finally, making headlines today on CivicCenterTV.com's local news page from MLive's Mark Torregrossa. And you know, if we reference one of his articles, we have some weather patterns coming through the mitten. Lake effect snow is expected to begin this afternoon and continue throughout the weekend. Now, this won't affect all of Michigan. The dividing line, according to Torregrossa, between meaningful snowfall and just general flurries will be US 131 on the western side of the state. The biggest day for snowfall will be on Saturday with an expected 3 to 6 inches of western side snow, by Saturday evening. Sunday continues the lake effect snow, but is expected to dissipate by the afternoon. That being said, expect very snowy roads Sunday on the west side of the Mitten. Quoted straight from this article, the most hazardous road conditions this weekend will lie from Kalamazoo to Grand Rapids, Big Rapids, Cadillac, Charlevoix, Petoskey, and westward to the Lake Michigan shoreline. The Lake Superior shoreline will also have 6 to 10 inches of snow throughout the weekend, and closed quote. Expect colder temperatures across the state as well, with most areas ranging from highs in the late 20s to the lower 30s throughout the weekend. All those headlines making news on our website at civiccentertv.com, on our local news page, as well as what else has been making headlines all throughout the week, and those ever helpful links to updates on COVID-19 and other public health information from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, as well as the Oakland County Health Division. We have a great show ahead on this edition of the Megacast. Coming up next, we'll talk about recreation for the winter season on the basketball court with Eddie Okanuski, or Eddie O, from Eddie O Basketball Camps. You're watching and listening to the Megacast.
Wake up, Greater West Bloomfield. Start your mornings with The Splash and tune in for The Splash Live. Get acquainted with people, places, and activities that are live, local, and for you. First thing in the morning, weekdays at 9:30 a.m. on our Civic Center TV YouTube page, or watch us live at Civic Center TV or on Facebook. The Splash Live, Greater West Bloomfield's live update show.
Now that the vaccine is available for children 5 and up, why do you recommend it?
Kids are part of the community and they can spread COVID.
We're seeing both healthy children getting sick from the virus as well as children with underlying health conditions.
They can easily bring the virus home to other people that are vulnerable and make them sick as well.
This vaccine can change that and keep children safe.
It's essential that your children get vaccinated to protect them, to protect your families, and to protect those in the community around you.
Hey Laker fans, do you know a friend or neighbor that volunteers in Greater West Bloomfield? We would love to help you recognize them at the 51st Annual Michigan Week Awards. Countless members of the communities of Orchard Lake, Kego Harbor, Sylvan Lake, and West Bloomfield give their time and talent daily without regard for recognition. You can help recognize these individuals and organizations at our awards breakfast next year on May 12th, 2023. Nominate your neighbor or organization starting January 28th, 2023. Go to michiganweek.org for details.
Welcome back to the Megacast, our live daily TV, radio, and streaming show talking about all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. You can learn more about our program by visiting our website on civiccentertv.com/megacast, where you'll also find more information on all of our partnering stations, as well as links to their direct websites to follow their other original programming throughout the 23 hours of the day. They're not with us live or live to tape on the Megacast, and find all of our full shows and each individual interview on demand as well, in case you're not able to join us Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. until 11 a.m. for our live shows or live to tape on our partnering stations, such as Orion Neighborhood Television in northern Oakland County, as well as Birmingham area municipal access in the Birmingham Bloomfield area. You can always find us online on your time on civiccentertv.com/megacast. Well, we're into the winter season now as we approach the end of the year, go into the new year, and you're looking for activities for your kids on the weekend. A great way to get them out, socializing, learning some life lessons early on, and maybe even learning a sport they may grow to love, is to send them to a basketball camp. And one of the great basketball camps in our local area is Eddie O Basketball Camps. Joining us now on the program is the owner of Eddie O Basketball Camps, LLC, Eddie Okanuski. Ed, thanks for being with us today.
Well, thank you for having me. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, glad to have you on. I have previously participated in Eddie O basketball camps. It's been a long time. I'm far removed from being a fourth grader at the eldest age, but this is a really interesting camp because it doesn't just facilitate basketball games. It really goes into teaching kids the basics of basketball, certainly the fundamentals, but also the fundamentals of team sports.
That's correct. Yes. This basketball program's been going on for decades. It's kind of embarrassing to say that, but it has been. And, You're right. So this is a basketball league that starts on Saturdays in January, and part of the league is obviously playing basketball games, but part of it is just like t-ball or rec soccer. It's a practice session, but during that practice session, half the session is practice, half the session is a game. But I will stop the practice session 10-15 minutes into it and get all the groups together and do skill work. And at the most rudimentary level, we start in preschool. We have preschool league, kindergarten league, first grade, all the way up to now it's fifth grade. We spend quite a bit of time on ball handling because that is probably the area that students can really improve the most. Are we doing shooting and passing, all that? Absolutely are, but really focusing heavily on that ball handling. Then they go back to their teams for the rest of the practice session, and then we have games. This all takes place at West Hills Middle School. For our youngest divisions, we have 7 courts there. In the oldest division, we'll have 4 courts at West Hills Middle School, and we also have a beautiful facility at Bloomfield Hills High School that we use for the older kids as well. Younger kids, we have adjustable baskets. Older kids, they're at the 10-foot level. So great experience. We do market it as a family atmosphere. People bring their whole families. And it's a great way to spend a Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon in the cold depths of winter. So it's a little bit about our basketball league.
You can find more information on the league and inquire about it by going to facebook.com/Eddie O Basketball. And also you can register at bloomfield.org/recreation in partnership with the Bloomfield Hills School District. Of course, that's where the facilities for Bloomfield Hills High School and West Hills Middle School are ran through. Facebook.com/Eddie O Basketball. And so for Eddie, for families that maybe don't know what sports their kids might be passionate about, or haven't quite developed some of these hobbies, or even are just trying to get their kids out and socializing a little bit more outside of the classroom environment, why is something like this basketball camp a great opportunity to kind of check all those boxes and, of course, get those kids that physical activity during the winter?
That's a great question, Tyler, and I get asked that quite a bit. And this is really a rec basketball league. It's not travel. It is a rec basketball league. I do let people know if they're interested in that more competitive kind of atmosphere. I have different places for them to go. It's not my program, but if that's what you want, that's where you go. Especially at the preschool, kindergarten, first grade, second grade level, the skills are not what they would be in high school, obviously. So we do get a lot of beginners, and it is about just effort and improvement. That's our 2 things we really focus on: effort and improvement. At the earliest grade levels, there's no stealing, there's no double teaming, and no pressing. So at the kindergarten level, every year I have parents who'll come up to me and say, "Eddie, I thought this game was going to be 2-0. And it ended up being 36-34. So there's a lot of up and down. The students have reversible jerseys and shorts. It really looks and feels like real basketball, but at the same time, with no stealing at a very rudimentary level in the early elementary, it avoids the fouling and all that kind of stuff. So it's a great way to get introduced into basketball. And we really work hard to put students from the same school on the same team because they want to play with their friends. We do have a 10-person limit on each team, and that really is for the coaches. We have volunteer coaches who've done a great job right along. I've had coaches who've been here for several years. Some coaches are brand new. A lot of times it's 2 and 3 coaches that work together, because Saturdays can be busy and can't make all those times. But they do a phenomenal job, and they do really follow the philosophy of the Eddie O Basketball Camp. And if you go to eddieobasketball.com, you'll see where the philosophy is, league rules, We really, again, encourage effort and improvement and really de-emphasize the winning and losing. There's going to be time for that as students get older. And yes, we have score clocks, but really try to de-emphasize that. When you see a first grade game, the score in real life might be 22-2, but that score clock is only to say 12-2, and there's only a 10-point margin. And a lot of it is because the players can't focus. They're looking at 22-2, and that's all they can think about. Their coach is 22-2. Mom, it's 22-2. Can you believe it's 22-2? And so we really kind of focus on that 10-point differential so the students can really focus on, again, effort and improvement, getting used to playing basketball, getting used to get up and down the court. And quite frankly, it's for a more advanced kid also who just loves to play. So we really hit all of the different areas when it comes to skill level of basketball. So come and join us. It's a great program to have, and been loved doing it for quite a long time.
EddieOBasketball.com for more information. You can also find them on Facebook at facebook.com/EddieOBasketball as well. The camp begins January 28th of next year and runs through March 18th. Again, more information, EddieOBasketball.com, or you can contact Eddie-O himself, Eddie, at EddieOBasketball.com with any questions and information, as well as if you'd like to become a coach for your kids' team or another team in the league during this season that begins, of course, with the coaches meeting on January 21st before the January 28th beginning of the season. And so, Ed, for you, having been the man behind this camp, been the one who founded and created this and been running this for as long as you have, where really was that origin for you, where you decided to make this happen and put this plan into action?
Well, started my teaching career in the late '80s, and honestly, I was a teacher and a coach at Andover High School. Coached varsity basketball, varsity boys golf, varsity girls golf. Always was a sports advocate. Played high school basketball, 4 years of college basketball, so it was always in my blood. And the rec director at the time asked if I wanted to do a camp for kindergartners, through third graders, and I'm like, yeah, it sounds great. And so that was the start of this whole program, and it started with a summer camp, which still goes on today. Also, we do 3 weeks of kindergarten through third grade basketball camp. We call it Small Shooters Fun Camp, which is just another layer of the Eddie-O basketball. We do those in July, but started it that way, and it has evolved, throughout the years, and it's really evolved because we got great parent support and great parent inputs, and we started this a couple decades ago now, was our parent/coach game. So at the end of the season, we've played several basketball games, and coach has been in there helping, and parents have been around, and we have this parent coach game where I have reversible jerseys for the parents as well, and it's moms playing against moms, it's dad playing against dads, and it is a blast. It's a blast because the kids are out there, they get to see their parents playing, they're so excited. A lot of great memories have been made. I work here at Brother Rice High School as the principal, and have had incoming ninth graders come in, and their dads or moms, and dad specifically, I remember this, it's like, when my kid was in first grade, I played in that game and I was the MVP, and I'll always remember that, and it's just a great memory for their parents. These times go by so fast. I always say the days are long, but the years go by so fast. And this is just a great opportunity to spend time with your family, create some memories, and again, just mark it as really good family time as well. So, yeah.
EddieOBasketball.com is the website to learn more information, as well as to register your kids to play in this league, of course, pre-K through fifth grade now, and the camp begins on January 28th. EddieOBasketball.com And who is this camp open to? Is it just in the Bloomfield Hills School District, or is it open to those in the throughout the local community?
Good question. It originates here in Bloomfield Hills, but if you're outside the district, it's an extra $5 to participate. You do have to create a free community pass account, which you can locate through the website that Tyler was talking about. It is people from all over the community. I do have referees that work on the weekends, for these games, and they're former basketball players that in the Eddie O League. The camp counselors who are high school and college students in the summertime, most of the time they're former players. And this summer and this winter too, I had people working from 11 different schools. If it's Brother Rice, Marion, Bloomfield Hills High School, Groves, Seaholm, Notre Dame Prep. There are several schools that our kids go to or come from, and to your point, Tyler, it's open to anybody. And the next step is, as you having a great time at this and enjoying it, and you might be, as a student or a player, find yourself in a role as a coach later on at the summer camp or as a referee in the winter basketball league. So that's pretty exciting, and love that I can say that these referees and coaches were one of the players in the league years before. So yep, but it's open to everybody, and love that you have the website up there, and that's the best way to get some more information. So
EddieOBasketball.com is that website. Again, the camp begins on January 28th. Registration through the Bloomfield Hills School District can also be found at bloomfield.org. Ed, thanks for joining us.
All right. Thanks for having me. Have a great day, everybody.
Glad to have you on, Eddie-O, and thanks for telling us more about your upcoming basketball camp. It's a favorite there in the Bloomfield Hills School District, as many other local school districts here in Oakland County, to get kids involved in something during the winter season and grow their love for, or at least explore their interest potentially in basketball. We'll take a break on the Megacast. On the other side, plenty going on across our economy this holiday season that's affecting your pocketbooks and your holiday shopping. Joining us next to talk about all those different issues and more is Michael Greiner from Oakland University. This is the Megacast.
I'm feeling good.
Let's savor these moments. Made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the dining out going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
My Michigan TV is streaming everywhere on Apple TV, Roku, Fire TV, and more smart TV apps. My Michigan TV is on your phone too. Take us with you wherever you go. Just search for My Michigan TV on your favorite app store or visit mymitv.com. All Michigan, streaming everywhere. My Michigan TV.
Can I ask you a question? Why do you want to get the COVID-19 vaccine?
I don't like getting sick. The virus will die. It will be easy to not catch it. Keep my family safe and keep playing soccer because I love being vaccinated.
What's your hope for everyone?
I hope everybody gets the vaccine to keep safe and strong. Be happy, having fun everywhere. Everyone stay safe and hope you get the vaccine.
Welcome back to the Megacast, our live daily TV, radio, and streaming show talking about all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. Learn more about our program on our website, civiccentertv.com/megacast, where you'll find more information on all of our partnering stations across the state, including My Michigan TV, and find all of our full shows and each individual interview as well on demand, civiccentertv.com/megacast. Well, with inflation, with the holiday season, and plenty of other factors all across the U.S. and around the world impacting our economy. It's always good to check in, as we do each and every Friday, with Michael Greiner from Oakland University for one of our weekly market talks. Michael, thanks for being with us today.
It's great to be back, Tyler. In fact, I really enjoyed listening to that last interview. I'm an educator myself, and it sounds like a great program.
Yeah, we were happy to be with him and talk about that program too, and all other things happening all across the Oakland County area and across the state of Michigan. All things that happen to be affected too by our economy, and as we've seen over the past several months, plenty of different moves being made by people in the federal government, particularly those at the Federal Reserve, to try to curb inflation. And it looks like now inflation looks to be slowing in a couple of places here in the U.S. as well as in the U.K. Tell us about that. Just how much of a slowdown is it, and what are some of those indications that this may be happening?
Yes, thank goodness. We're finally starting to get some good news on inflation. I'm sure everybody is tired of hearing about inflation. I'm frankly pretty tired of talking about it because it's not something that anybody enjoys. But the reality is we're finally starting to get some good news about it. The most recent report that we just received last week said that the Consumer Price Index, otherwise known as the CPI, has gone down to 7.1% year over year. So basically what that means is that in November, compared to the prior November, there was a 7.1% increase in prices. And that sounds like a lot, and it is. It's higher than we've experienced in the past, but it is actually a pretty substantial slowdown from what we've seen over the past year, couple of years actually. And it's the lowest rate that we've seen over 2 years. So it's definitely a positive indication. Hopefully it indicates that we're starting to get to the end of this crisis here with inflation. We've still got a ways to go. As many people have heard about, the goal of the Federal Reserve is to get inflation down to 2%. Now, it sounds like a long way from 7.1, and it is. But in fact, actually, things are a little bit better than you'd think, because the 7.1% increase includes certain more volatile ingredients, things like gas prices, which of course we've all seen go down lately, as well as food. And what the Fed prefers to rely upon is something called the Personal Consumption Expenditure Index, the PCE index. And that index is at 6% right now, which is also a pretty big drop from the prior month. So it seems like we're heading in the right direction. And one more thing that I think is just a positive indication here is just doing some back of the envelope calculations. Excuse me. It appears that actually, if you just look at the amount that prices increased from October to November, we're down to a rate of about 2.6%, which again, that's really only slightly above where the Fed wants us to be. Now, again, we still have ways to go, but at least it shows we're on the right track, and that's very encouraging right now.
And one of those indicators may be that the Federal Reserve, as they once again raised the interest rates, didn't quite raise them as high as they did in the past, where they've typically raised it about 0.75%. This time only raising it about half of a percentage point. How much of an indication is that the federal government may have some confidence in lowering inflation?
Well, it's funny you say that, because it's kind of a mixed message that we're getting from the Fed right now. And you can see the reaction in the markets, where once the Fed made the announcement, the markets went up a little bit, but then they went down. And in fact, it looks like that we're going to end this week with the markets down a little bit overall. But here's where things get confusing is, yes, you're right. Over the past 4 months, we've experienced 4 consecutive increases of 0.75 in the interest rate. So the Fed has been increasing the interest rates very quickly. That's really a very rapid increase compared to prior years. And now they just increased it up by half a percentage point, which is a slowdown on that on that increase. So it appears that the Fed is seeing some progress, and they're starting to feel better about this. And they want to see the rate increases that they've already taken start to take effect, because it takes a little while sometimes for these things to kind of work their way through the economy. But at the same time, Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell made a speech, as he always does, and he was very strong in what he said. And what he said, number one, was that this is not going to be the last rate increase we're going to see, and he expects that we're going to see the rates increase higher than had originally been anticipated, where it originally had been anticipated that the rates would stay for the next year around, say, 4.5%. Now he's saying that the rates will increase above 5%. So we're talking a higher rate than had originally been anticipated. Secondly, he's also saying that he expects that these high rate increases are going to be held at that rate throughout the next year, really at a higher rate than for the entire year. And this is where things get confusing because the Fed has a credibility problem right now. At first, of course, as we all know, the Fed had kind of poo-pooed inflation, thinking it was a temporary thing, as had many economists, myself included, by the way, by way of full disclosure. But the problem is, of course, it turned out that inflation turned into a much more serious problem than was originally anticipated. So the Fed kind of has been playing catch-up since then. And since then, also, the markets aren't really sure that the Fed is serious when it says that it's going to hold rates higher. Because if the economy starts to slow, which is really what the goal is of these rate increases. You have to remember, part of the reason that we've got this inflation is because we bounced back so quickly from the COVID crisis that as a result of that, prices also increased. We had this lack of balance between the supply and demand sectors as the economy bounced back just much more quickly than anyone anticipated. And so as a result of that, the Fed feels they need to slow things down a little bit so that the supply is able to catch up with demand, and that will stabilize prices. Now, what that means, though, is potentially layoffs. And we've heard from some major companies that they're going to go through some layoffs. But as of yet, we haven't seen much evidence of that impacting the overall employment market. The employment market still is very strong. Layoffs are still very low. We've still
Pierce, we were having some technical issues with Michael and his connection. Of course, he's as he was last week. If you tuned in, also he is out of town at the moment on traveling, and so as happens with all of us, as we're working and we're doing other commitments on the web, have some issues too that go on sometimes when we're on the road traveling and trying to connect to the web and do stuff like going on Zoom calls and whatnot, and it affects television too. But hey, we've been doing this show for a long time here, a couple of years throughout this pandemic. We've been doing this over Zoom since day one. All of our interviews, we've had plenty of these kinds of incidents. So it's all in a day's work here in live television with our network here at the Megacast. So here's what we'll do. We'll take a quick break. We'll get ourselves reconnected with Michael. We'll continue on with our conversation here in just a couple of minutes. You're watching and listening to the Megacast. Actually, we'll keep it right here as we have Michael back now. Michael, let's continue on. One of the indications of the federal government's focus on reducing inflation, reducing prices for products here in the U.S., and maintaining American jobs during these economic times has been, and we've actually seen a couple of articles come out from different news outlets, the New York Times and the Washington Post, both releasing articles this week on some of the Biden administration's more quote unquote protectionist policies economically. Tell us, define protectionism as it pertains to economics to us, and B, what sort of policies the Biden administration is enacting that are kind of creating a web of protectionism economically between us and our foreign partners.
Sure. Great question. I apologize about that little internet hiccup there. But basically what we're seeing is dating back to about 1948, the United States and the entire world has been under this regime called GATT, which stands for the General Agreement of Tariffs and Trade. And that kind of transformed into, many of you might have heard of, the World Trade Organization, which actually is a court where they can adjudicate disputes between countries over trade. Now, part of what GATT does is it says that countries can't impose tariffs on each other to make basically buying foreign countries' goods more expensive. So that's what protectionism is about. You ask about defining it, and that's basically what it stands for, which is that if we increase the cost of buying things, say, from China here in the United States, then what that does is it makes it less attractive to buy things from China and more attractive to buy things made here in the United States or from, say, some of our allies. Well, back during the last administration, many people might remember kind of the outrage that many people had over some of the programs that the prior president had instituted, things like tariffs on steel and aluminum from Canada, which didn't really make much sense because there is this exception to GATT, which allows you to impose tariffs if there is some type of national security interest that you have. And a lot of people questioned, well, do we really need to be protecting ourselves from Canada? Well, as of now, all those tariffs are gone, and pretty much all the tariffs are gone on goods that were coming from Europe as well, because of course those are where our allies are as well. The place, though, where we've seen some of the tariffs continue and, in fact, actually increase has been on things from China. And there's, of course, a lot of concern right now over the aggressive behavior by China. And many of us have been saying for years, actually, that we have concerns over their illegal behavior because they don't really essentially comply with the same set of rules that we do. For example, they don't protect intellectual property the way we do here in the United States or in Europe. And as a result, you'll frequently see movies bootlegged being sold in China. Or software, for example. Similarly, they have controls on their currency, for example, and they will frequently use the joint ventures that they require any foreign firm to enter into if they're going to do business in China, basically to try to steal technology from these companies. And it's really a big problem. Well, as of now, the United States has really taken a very firm stand that we cannot allow more technology to be transferred over to China. And in fact, we just saw this morning an announcement where the Biden administration said they're going to curtail sale of high-tech goods to certain Chinese companies because that we want to make sure it isn't getting access to these goods. I mean, saw, for example, with where they've been able to use conductors that are built here in the United States and in some of our allies, one of which, of course, is Taiwan, to basically guide their missiles. And so the concern that we have is that if we share this kind of technology with China, that they'll use it for their military goals. And of course, one of their military goals is taking control of Taiwan. Now, the big concern we have here is if China takes control of Taiwan, are they then going to limit our access to semiconductors? Because a lot of the semiconductor production has actually shifted from here in the United States over to Taiwan. And at this point, most of the semiconductors in the world are built in Taiwan. So the goal is to try to bring more of that production back here into the United States. And we've seen some progress on that already, as well as also to limit some of the trade that's going over to China. Now, China, of course, is quite outraged about this, and they have said so, and they protested to the World Trade Organization, which actually sided with them. But the Biden administration basically said, we don't care. We're not going to acknowledge that the World Trade Organization has jurisdiction over this because this is a national security issue. So it's quite a surprise by many people where they expected that President Biden was going to take essentially the position that was taken by most prior administrations dating back to 1948, that more trade is good. And instead, he's taken the view that while in some cases more trade is good, like with our allies in Europe and Australia and Canada, in other cases, like with China and with Russia, not such a good thing. And so we're seeing more steps to try to limit China's access to the American market, as well as also limit their access to the high technology goods that we're so good at producing here in the United States.
Always plenty to unpack on these different economic issues and the impacts that they have across the U.S. and around the globe. Michael, thanks as always for joining us.
Great to be here. Thanks a lot, Tyler. And the good news is I will no longer be on this trip next time we talk.
Well, that is good news as well. So hopefully technology will be a little bit more cooperative once you're back stateside. So appreciate it as always. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks.
More information on Oakland University programs, including in their School of Business Administration, can be found at oakland.edu. We'll take a break on the Megacast. On the other side, we'll talk to one of over 300 charities and nonprofits supported on the Shared Detroit platform. You're watching and listening to the Megacast.
Wondering what to say to someone who's been sexually assaulted or abused?
I believe you. I'm so sorry this happened.
It's not your fault.
Confidential and anonymous help is available at the Michigan Sexual Assault Hotline. Connect with us 24/7. Call 855-VOICES-4 or text 1-866-238-1454 for help. Learn more at michigan.gov/voices4.
What's happening around you? Hear about state events, businesses, and from the people behind them on the Megacast, an hour-long TV, radio, and streaming show keeping you informed on the day-to-day news. Listen in on talks with volunteer groups, documentarians, and financial advisors, Monday to Friday with your host, Tyler Kieft. Catch the Megacast weekdays from 10 a.m. to 11 on Civic Center TV, 89.3 Lakes FM, and streaming on mymytv.com. Watch Civic Center TV with our brand new live captions. To turn on live captions, go to civiccentertv.com and click Watch Live. In your web browser, click on the Options tab in the top right and find the Accessibilities tab. Then just switch on live captions to heighten your enjoyment of our local programming. Thank you so much for watching Civic Center TV.
Welcome back to the Megacast, our live daily TV, radio, and streaming show talking about all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. You can learn more about our program and find us on demand on civiccentertv.com/megacast, where you'll find direct links to all of our partnering stations, including in your hometown, that join us live and live to tape Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and throughout the rest of the day, the week, the weekend, and more, and on demand as well. Again, the website, civiccentertv.com/megacast. Joining us now on the program is one of over 300 charities and nonprofits supported on the Share Detroit platform. Andrew Brown is the Director of Events and Communications at Care of Southeastern Michigan, joining us on today's edition of the program. Andrew, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me, Tyler. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, glad to have you on. Tell us more about your organization. First off, just give us a little bit of the history, the background, the mission of Care of Southeastern Michigan.
Sure. So Care of Southeastern Michigan actually celebrated its 45th year of business this year. We do a ton of work in the community with youth, first responders. We're really well known for our recovery services programs. Our peer recovery coaching program is really accredited and respected throughout the state and beyond. So we really have a unique approach as it comes to substance use disorder. We work prevention to, help the students and the youth to, not use substances. We do outpatient treatment in our office and a ton of linkage to residential treatment providers all throughout Southeastern Michigan and beyond. And we also, like I said, with our peer recovery programming, we do long-term, stability recovery for when someone gets out of treatment, we're there along the way with them. Aside from that, like I said, we have our EAP, we have our outpatient services. We do work with license restoration. Our parenting classes are what we're really well known for. And that's what I'm going to talk about in a few, probably, is our parenting conference that's coming up in March. We do a ton of education around parenting, really all ages, and our parent educators are just amazing.
More information can be found on careofsem.com, careofsem.com for more information, or visit sharedetroit.org and search in there, find a nonprofit section for Care of Southeastern Michigan for more information. And what are some of the different communities or different groups of people that your organization serves in our local area?
Yeah, so a big piece is obviously youth. We do a ton of work with community coalitions. We do a ton of work in the schools. We work with children from our summer camps all the way from, preschool to, 12th grade. And what we're really doing, a lot of that is prevention work, obviously, education, real education around substance use and dangers around that, and making healthy choices in life. Other communities we serve, obviously, are the people in the recovery community, people seeking recovery from substance use. We obviously come from a multiple pathways approach, which means It's not just 12-step programs. It's not just this. It's really how can we help you recover? How can we help you find safety? We do a ton of work through our Project Box with access to naloxone. We do pop-ups in the community, just making naloxone or Narcan, which can revive someone from an opioid overdose, available to the community. And I'm probably missing a lot, but we work with obviously employers throughout Southeastern Michigan as an employee assistance program. We offer counseling for employees, obviously confidential services. So yeah, we have a pretty diverse population that we work with.
And these aren't just programs that are centered around treatment for people that are experiencing substance use disorder, or for those that are associated with someone that may be experiencing these different issues. These are also, excuse me, they also include substance use prevention tactics too for students and for the youth. So if people are interested, if they have someone in their life that may be experiencing some substance use issues, or they themselves may be experiencing them, or they just want to get ahead of those prevention measures for their kids or their classroom, how can they get involved in some of these programs and get associated with your organization?
The best way is just to give us a call, 586-541-2273, or visit our website at www.careofsem.com. We have a list of resources, everything available there. Our front office staff is super knowledgeable. We get a lot of people, a lot of families just calling with questions, and we're there to help you. We don't turn anyone away. We want to always find solutions. I know also our Recovery United Community Center, which is in Fraser, the address is 32577 Garfield Road. That's available and open to the community. And that's just not for people seeking recovery. That's for family members looking for answers, people looking for naloxone. You can stop in. Our hours are posted on our website, but we're pretty much open till 8 p.m. most days of the week, besides Wednesday and Friday. So we're there all the time. You can stop in, just ask questions. We're here to help.
And how does your approach differ from maybe some other preventative measures that have been taken by different organizations, different individuals in the past? Because in so many cases, you're working with groups of people, but you're also working with individuals whose specialized cases may be different than other people's, or their journeys into substance abuse or in recovery might differ significantly from the next person in after them, or the person in before them. So how does that individual aspect play into these resources and these services provided by Care of Southeastern Michigan?
Well, I can speak from my own experience. I am also someone that's received services from Care. I have 15 years in recovery myself from an opioid use disorder, and Care was an essential piece in getting me into treatment. I came on board in 2014 to Care as a peer recovery coach, and have loved it ever since. I've obviously changed positions over the years, but I love this organization. And what I feel, Tyler, is different about what we do is I think it starts with, first, we value lived experience, and we want to celebrate that. And I can speak first to our peer recovery coaching program. We started in 2012. Our coaches obviously are from all facets of the community, but they're all accredited. They all are certified peer recovery coaches, either through state of Michigan or through other certification boards. And, we really hold ourselves to high standards with that. Across the board, I think that's really what I see different with Care, is just the professional development of staff, how, the amount of trainings we have. I just feel that we really have that whole person approach, going back to the prevention piece too. We can work with the youth. We can work with the person going through the issues. We can work with the family surrounding that. And we can work just with people having other everyday struggles too. We, like I said, we are an outpatient provider. We do outpatient substance use therapy, and like I said, tons of coalitions in the community, tons of groups. I really just feel like we have a really well-rounded approach across the board, from, like I said, from substance use to questions with parenting to, like I said, just, I know parenting boils down to a lot, but really, I think a lot of parents are afraid to reach out. We're there, whatever's going on. We have a parenting class for you, I promise.
ShareDetroit.org is one of your many locations to look for information on these sorts of nonprofits throughout the state of Michigan, and especially in southeastern Michigan. And you can also find information on Care of Southeastern Michigan directly at their website, careofsem.org. That's careofsem.org for more information on all their programs and other ways that you can get involved as well. We're joined by Andrew Brown on today's edition of the Megacast, Director of Events and Communications at Care of Southeastern Michigan. Andrew, if people would like to get involved, maybe even become a peer recovery coach like you had been and like so many others have gotten involved in being and helping other people, how can they go about that and getting it into some of these programs as somebody on the side of helping others with your organization?
So, yeah, thanks, Tyler. And thanks for mentioning Share Detroit. We just want to give Share Detroit a big shout out. For Giving Tuesday, we were really honored to receive, $1,000 award for Giving Tuesday. And, visit us on Share Detroit. You can donate to Share Detroit directly. You can, there's volunteer opportunities. There's also registration for our parenting conference coming up next year. And I'm glad you brought that up about development, Tyler. We have a really unique program, especially for peer recovery coaches. It's called CareCore. You can apply right through our website. There's a link. You have to have 2 years in recovery. And like I said, we're multiple pathways providers. So, whatever your pathway may be, as long as you have 2 years in sustained recovery, you can take the trainings. The really cool part is not only do you not have to pay for the trainings to become a peer recovery coach, we pay you to train to be a peer recovery coach. And after the training, it's a 10-hour a week apprenticeship. It's very flexible. And what we're really trying to do is, it might seem like some of us in the peer recovery field that there's too many peer recovery coaches out there. It's not the case. There's not far enough peers out there. So we're trying to really develop the workforce, give peers a well-rounded regimen of training as well as on-the-job experience. So that's available on there. We also, if people are looking for volunteer opportunities, like I said, visit Share Detroit or our website. We do own our building, so that comes with a unique set of needs. If we have any contractors or anyone in the area ever willing to, help us out, we are always, have odds and ends around the building if you're looking for volunteer opportunities. And like I said, getting involved, donations always help us. I mean, we've been around for a while. We sustain a lot on grant funding, but donations really help us support the community in out-of-box ways. Meaning, like if someone needs a car seat, if someone needs a ride somewhere, that can help us to pay for a Lyft or a Uber to something important. Transportation is something really difficult here. I mean, we have a great bus system, but there's just needs for transportation. So any donations really go to help us doing those out-of-the-box things that can really enhance a person's journey.
More information can be found, including information on how to become a peer recovery coach at careofsem.com. You can get more information on recovery coaching at careofsem.com/recovery-coaching. Andrew, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Tyler. Really appreciate it.
Appreciate having you on as well. Careofsem.com is their website. You can also call them 586-541-2273, 586-541-2273 to get more information, or visit sharedetroit.org and search under Find a Nonprofit for Care of Southeastern Michigan to get more information across the board about ways to get in contact with them, different programs that are available to you, volunteer and work opportunities, and more. ShareDetroit.org, the website to go for that. That is going to do it for this week's editions of the Megacast. We appreciate you joining us all throughout the week. You can always find us Monday through Friday live from 10 a.m. until 11 a.m. across our network. More information can be found on civiccentertv.com/megacast. Thank you to all of our guests for joining us today on the program. You'll find their interviews and our full episode on demand soon on civiccentertv.com/megacast. Huge thank you as well to our dedicated crew each and every day. Jared Clark today at Master Control at My Michigan TV, our co-flagship. That's it for this edition of the Megacast. We'll return very soon with a new episode.
This is My Michigan TV. Around here, we just call it